A company can be defined as a group of people performing various tasks to achieve a shared goal. But the biggest problem about working with groups is making sure everyone is pulling their weight for maximum productivity and efficiency. However, as we're all aware, humans are anything but equal in standard. In a group of people, there will always be a small group of people that do more work than the rest. This may be easy to manage with a small group of workers, but it scales exponentially as your company grows. According to the Pareto principle, it is also known as the law of the vital few. In a company of 10, 3 people do most of the work. In a company, and 7 are usually below par. The percentage or ratio of this theory remains parallel to the size of the company. This situation will put a strain on the 30% of the most performing workers and will eventually demotivate them, this costing the company heavily in terms of financial as well as productivity. Thankfully in Malaysia, the Malaysia Productivity Corporation (MPC) has started an initiative to raise productivity levels amongst workers. The E-Shared Prosperity Organization Acknowledgement Certificate, also commonly known as eSPO Acknowledgement Certificate, is recognized by the Ministry of International Trade and Industry (MITI), Ministry of Human Resources (MOHR), and eSPO aims to encourage more businesses to become shared prosperity organizations in line with the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. These acknowledgement certificates are issued to companies that have successfully implemented productivity-linked wage systems, a profit-sharing system that benefits both the employers and employees. This video will serve as a training module to help you understand further about eSPO in the mining industry. In this video, we aim to stimulate and expose companies to the existence of eSPO and to make it easier for the employers, employees, and the public to effectively obtain information regarding eSPO and PLW in terms of 1. The purpose and meaning of eSPO, 2. The benefits of eSPO, and 3. The components and elements of eSPO. Let us start with what exactly is eSPO. eSPO was launched on the 17th of December 2020 by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Nur Azman Ayub, Deputy Secretary General, Ministry of International Trade and Industry. eSPO, or E-Shared Prosperity Organization, is an online platform that issues an electronic acknowledgement certificate to companies, organizations that have successfully implemented the Productivity-Linked Wage System, PLWS. PLWS helps bridge the gap between wages and aims to increase motivation and healthy competition amongst the workforce. It is planned in a manner that will benefit employees and employers, whether in the unionized or non-unionized sectors in Malaysia. So with so much emphasis on eSPO and its acknowledgement, let's run through the benefits of eSPO by breaking into 3 types of benefits: direct benefits, indirect benefits, and future benefits. The direct benefits of eSPO are, firstly, it allows flexibility in the compensation system, which means employers can compensate productive workers accordingly. Studies have indicated that companies that implement PLWS show an increase of 15% in productivity, 10% in profitability, and 10% in worker wages. PLWS also increases workers' engagement by letting workers decide their wage capacity, knowing it is tied to their productivity. The indirect benefits of the PLWS system are that prosperity is shared in a manner that is fairer compared to the mainstream wage system. It also provides organizational identity, so employees and employers feel like they are an integral part of the company, and as the company profits, so does the worker. Apart from that, it highlights outstanding employees, making appraisals and promotions are better given to deserving individuals that are working to ensure the growth of the company. Finally, it also enhances harmonious industrial relations, and nobody will feel that their hard work is being taken advantage of on both ends of the employer-employee spectrum. In terms of future benefits, as the whole country moves towards eSPO certification, it will only be a mark of merit and distinction for companies that are early adopters of this particular certification. These companies will be seen as leaders and forerunners, paving the way for a more dynamic wage system that keeps everyone in mind where the distribution of profit is concerned. Having acknowledged by eSPO will also be the criteria for awards and incentives that are given by the government to organizations. In this training module for the mining and quarry sector, 3 major components make up 1,000 marks for the Acknowledgement Certification. The bonus component carries 200 marks, the Productivity and Performance Incentives component carries 600 marks, the Skills Incentives component carries 200 marks. The eSPO Acknowledgement Certification will go through 20 elements to evaluate how a company applies productivity-linked wage system in its business. The bonus components consist of questions about 6 elements that can be implemented by a company concerning workers' bonuses. Question 1 asks if your company implements a profitability bonus. Generally, a profitability bonus refers to when a company sets aside a predetermined amount as a payout bonus on top of the worker's basic salary. If Cooper Mining Company generates 1.5 million ringgit in profit for the year, then 10% or 150,000 ringgit can be allocated for bonus payouts for that year. Table 1.1 shows the example of profit after tax. Employees are eligible for the half month of their basic salary as their annual bonus if Cooper Mining Company generated 1.5 million ringgit in profit for the year. As in Table 1.2, if Cooper Mining Company generated 5 million ringgit profit before tax, then the employees are eligible for 500 ringgit as their annual bonus. This question is to measure if an organization implements a company performance bonus as a form of additional compensation paid to an employee or department as a reward for achieving specific goals or targets. Table 2.1 shows that if the ROI achievement is more than 100%, then the employees are rewarded 1 month of their basic salary as a yearly bonus. And in Table 2.2, we have an example of a bonus paid based on business plan. If the company achieved their business plan target of 90%, employees will be rewarded 0.4 times their basic salary. Element 3 asks about the element of employee performance bonus. This is when an employee achieves excellent performance throughout a performance cycle. In Table 3.1, we see that an employee is paid an annual bonus based on their performance rating. For example, if an individual performance dips below 40% that year, he will not be entitled to an annual bonus. Whereas in Table 3.2, we see if an employee's performance rating is above target, then he or she will be entitled to up to 2.25 times the basic salary as an annual bonus. Question 4. The element evaluated is whether the company provides a bonus based on profitability and employee performance. This can be an additional compensation paid to an employee or department as a reward for achieving specific goals set prior by the company. Table 4.1 presents a profitability bonus based on the average performance. If the company's average performance falls under 80 to 90%, and the profit after tax is 10 million, a bonus of 1 month will be rewarded. The bonus payments will vary according to profitability and employee performance. The higher both those quotients are together, the higher will the bonus be. In Table 4.2, we see employee performance rating coupled with profit before tax. If the company's profit before tax is more than 12 million ringgit and employee performance rating is more than 80%, the employee will be rewarded 2.1 times his monthly basic as a bonus. The fifth question in this training module deals with a bonus based on company performance and employee performance. In Table 5.1, we see that if a mining company business plan is 85 to 100% and an employee score is 70 to 80%, then the employee will get a 1-month bonus. Whereas Table 5.2 shows an example that if the mining truck driver's performance manages to have 910 safe trips, then the truck driver will get 1.6 times his basic salary as a bonus. The last and sixth element of the bonus component asks if your company implements a share option. This is when a company gives employees an option to buy shares at a discounted or state fixed price. Here we see a call option made available to staff. For example, if the value of the stock price is 25 ringgit, the call option for the employees will be 3 ringgit. These bonus components are a great way to reward deserving employees and help retain your most skilled ones. With the first component done, we can move into the productivity or performance incentive component with 11 elements to consider. The first element in this component deals with whether a company provides a salary increment based on employee performance. Salary increment in this element is determined through achievements of merit points, performance level, percentage of base increment, and performance increment. For example, in Table 7.1, we can see that if an employee's performance score is in the 65 to 80% range, they get a performance rating of good. This makes their variable incentive payment to be 5%. And in Table 7.2, we see that if the merit points are marked as good, then the base increment will be 2% and the performance increment will be 6%. The eighth element is to evaluate if a company provides productivity incentives based on employee performance. An employee with excellent performance can receive an annual incentive from the company that is monetary or non-monetary. Examples of monetary incentives include profit sharing, project bonuses, stock options, and scheduled bonuses, which can be given during the festive season. Non-monetary incentives include things such as company cars, healthcare benefits, life insurance, and other types of privileges that can be afforded by a company. In Table 8.1, we see productivity incentives given to employees based on how good they do within their job grade. So if Mr. Ali works as a machine operator in grade 4 and achieved an excellent rating, he would be awarded 33 ringgit monthly. In Table 8.2, we see Mr. Ali be evaluated based on productivity achievement indices, where he gets a grade of good, which entitles him to an incentive of 21 to 25% of his basic wages. Does your company implement activities-based incentives? The ninth element discusses whether your company implements activity-based incentives, usually given to workers who are involved in physical hazard activities such as exposure to fire and explosion, unsafe air quality, as well as weather conditions, heat, noise, and vibration. Table 9.1 shows that if the workers are exposed to dust in their working environment or other airborne contaminants, they will be rewarded with 200 ringgit as monthly compensation. The 10th element deals with incentives based on the reduction of wastages. A reduction in wastage, such as saving costs on purchasing material, saves the company money and helps increase profit margins, thus increasing the productivity and profitability of that company. Table 10.1 shows an example of a mining company procurement department. This department continually tracks and monitors purchasing activity to gain an update on the request of material that needs to be purchased. By proper planning, the company can readily identify opportunities to make purchases at the right time and in the right quantity to maximize cost saving. Because of this, the procurement department staff will be rewarded 100 ringgit monthly, which serves as a motivation to streamline more projects and reduce wastage. The 11th element assesses if your company provides incentives based on cost and time saving. This is when a company rewards employees with monetary incentives for cost or time saved on a project. For example, a mining company can pay a certain amount of incentive to compactor and excavator operators if they can save costs and time. Table 11.1 shows cost saving through optimization of preventive maintenance practices. This resulted in a decrease in unscheduled downtime, which leads to higher truck availabilities. Every truck has its optimal target load, and overloading trucks can be costly due to increased maintenance, early tire failure, increased fuel consumption, and spillage. Frontline site supervisors will receive an incentive of 200 ringgit when they can reduce truck downtime by 10 to 20%. Table 11.2 shows us an example of incentives for time saved. Wheel loader and truck drivers will be rewarded 55 ringgit per trip for safe trips and arriving for loading at the estimated time. Element 12 is to evaluate if your company provides incentives based on the personal quality of a worker. Do you reward an employee who performs commendably in criteria such as attendance, absenteeism, punctuality, and discipline? Table 12.1 refers to incentives based on criteria achieved. For example, if an employee achieved 5 criteria, he or she will receive 100 ringgit as an incentive. Table 12.3 refers to incentives based on personal quality. This shows how the incentives will be distributed based on the number of personal criteria achieved. The next element to this component is to measure whether your company has a productivity incentive scheme. This is when a certain amount of reward is paid if the company achieves production targets set based on mining and quarrying standards for operational level. Table 13.1 exhibits an example in a quarry site. If the production target is achieved based on the set key performance index, then the site supervisor will receive a reward of 150 ringgit monthly. Question 14 is to check if a company provides a performance incentives allowance. This is when an employee has reached the maximum on their salary scale and has performed commendably during the review period. He or she will then be eligible for a monthly allowance which won't be attached to their basic salary. Table 14.1 shows if an employee performance rating shows more than 85%, he or she receives 60 ringgit monthly. And in Table 14.2, the incentive given is based on handling machine efficiency. A predictive maintenance record is used to detect machine efficiency. Maintenance technicians receive a monthly incentive of 100 ringgit if the machine efficiency is rated between 22 to 23 hours without any breakdown. The next element is to assess whether your company provides sales achievement incentives. This pay is to an individual or team upon hitting sales targets. A sales incentive plan is a great way to motivate and reward personal sales performance or a team base for reaching and exceeding their sales goals within a specific time frame that aligns with the department's objectives. Table 15.1 shows that if the sales value achieved by a sales representative is more than 50,000 ringgit, then he or she will be rewarded with 500 ringgit. Table 15.2 shows the sales quantity incentive. If the sales representative achieves more than 5,000 sales quantity, then 500 ringgit will be rewarded as a sales incentive. Question 16. focuses on if your company provides a coaching allowance. This is when an employee can be paid to conduct internal training or coaching for their colleague, depending on the training topic and feedback from internal staff. This practice can motivate information sharing and co-training each other to reduce staff weaknesses and errors. Table 16.1 shows a company that pays internal trainer allowances hourly rates depending on the area of expertise. For instance, a senior staff of the procurement department conducted an in-house training for a new procurement staff on how to monitor purchasing activity. This kind of training is considered as soft skills, and the in-house trainer will be paid 30 ringgit hourly. The last element of this component is to measure if a company provides non-financial incentives, and these acknowledgements and recognitions from the company to the employees' excellence and loyalty make them feel appreciated by the company. Non-financial incentives. Examples can be annual family days, awards for best employee, service awards for years served in the company, and even trip incentives. All these can help with the employer-employee relations, which ultimately improve productivity and performance, yielding potential positive business results. And lastly, we've reached the skills component, which consists of 3 elements. Does your company provide incentives based on multi-skilling? Question 18 focuses on incentives based on an employee's ability to implement multiple skills in more than one area or field. The employee must have knowledge, experience, or specialized training in the related field. Mining equipment varies incredibly in size, shape, power, and usage. The environment in which it is used also varies widely, requiring different skills and expertise from the operator depending on the mine site. Table 18.1 shows how mining equipment operators are compensated according to their multi-skill application at the workplace. If a dump truck civil operator performs additional work as a road train driver, he will be rewarded 120 ringgit monthly. The second last element in the skill incentive component is to evaluate whether your company gives incentives based on multitasking. Multitasking refers to the ability of a worker to manage multiple responsibilities at once by focusing on a task while keeping track of other tasks simultaneously without reducing productivity. Table 19.1 shows that if a quarry operator with a main job scope of crushing does additional tasks such as drying, then he will be rewarded with 120 ringgit as a monthly incentive. This table, on the other hand, shows how the workers are rewarded with an additional 120 ringgit monthly for each additional number of tasks he or she can manage. The final element in this training module is to assess whether your company provides incentives based on certified skills. This is a reward given to an employee who has gone through formal training that can be applied in the workplace in terms of occupation, technology, or industry. Table 20.1 shows how a worker is incentivized based on his credential. Mr. Ali has been certified in extractive industries for mining administration surface extraction A, grade level 2. He then obtains his certification for level 3, and because of this, his company then rewards him with 100 ringgit monthly. This can help motivate workers to be more specialized and increase the quality of the workforce. That was the last element that we covered to help you through the eSPO Acknowledgement Certification process and for you to understand further on this initiative. With the guidance of this video, the Malaysia Productivity Corporation hopes to welcome more and more businesses that implement productivity-linked wage systems to register and be recognized by the government. This is all an effort to bring us closer to realizing the shared prosperity vision of 2030 with the noble objective to provide a decent standard of living to all Malaysians by 2030. What are you waiting for? Log on to www.mpc.gov.my/ESPO today to get acknowledged.